Welcome back to the Positive Gains podcast. Today, my special guest is musical artist Kachi Annuncia. Kachi, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I feel good. This is like the first time I'm doing an interview, so it's amazing to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll get into your background here in a minute, but how I came across your page and your music was on TikTok. So just scrolling around for you page and found some of your music. But before we go any
Yeah.
further, if you would tell the people where you're from and just a little bit of background.
Okay. Um, my name is Kachi Annuncia. I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, but I'm originally from Ndokwa West Local Government of Delta State. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it.
And you're there now, right? In Nigeria?
Yes, yes, definitely. I am in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah, so you're the second one on the podcast as far as like international. The furthest person I've had on was
Wow.
somebody from London, but nobody from Nigeria or anywhere like that. So shout out to you for
That,
that.
that's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. And so music, how did you come across music, getting started into it? That venture.
Oh, okay. So music it has been a family thing, yeah. So everyone at home, my dad was like, is an amazing singer. My mom too would, sometimes just raise songs. And aside from my dad being a good singer, he had like really great taste for music. Um, I remember growing up listening to, Phil Collins. Phil Collins is a legend. So I grew up listening to Phil Collins, listening to R. Kelly. I I was a huge fan of Michael Jackson. That even when he died, I was literally crying. I don't know. It's not something that is normal here in Nigeria, but to have a child cry over an artist, it doesn't happen every time. So basically that was the background. I grew up listening to a lot of beautiful music, and my dad was a very, very huge influence for me on that.
So it's pretty diverse. Like you said, you had Michael Jackson, you had Phil Collins,
Yeah.
um, and then but what you do is gospel, right? So gospel, was that the first choice of music for you, or
Yeah.
did you think about doing R&B?
Okay. So R&B a is not a first choice kind of music in Nigeria. We do Afropop, and all the stuff. But listening to the likes of Ari Kelly, Usher, Chris Brown, I I enjoyed their music much more than I enjoyed Afrobeats because it was clear, the message was direct, and vocally they were doing a lot of extra things. But to be an artist, you have to actually venture into Afrobeats because that is what sells. So I started off as a secular artist. I did a couple songs, not anything serious, but I did a couple songs. I did shows, you know, performed in, gatherings and stuff, doing the normal Afrobeats songs and all that. But, you know, somehow along the line, maybe probably like 3 years into deciding to do music full time, I had an issue. Yeah, something that changed the course of my music career for good. I was homeless at the time, and the only place I could stay was the studio. And the studio was owned by a pastor, but it was managed by just some random guy who is a producer and just does.
We're buffering a little bit, but
All right.
the last part I got was that you were talking about being homeless and then staying in the studio. I think you said that was owned by a pastor.
Yeah, okay. So the pastor owned the place, but then you anybody could come because that was like a workplace for anybody, any artist, any kind of artist could come and work there. So I was staying there. And then he wanted me to join his church, and that was where we started falling off. He wanted us to he wanted me to join his church and join his church's choir and all that stuff. But they weren't doing the kind of music I would have loved to do if I was going to actually join a church. They were more of a like an indigenous Yoruba church. So they had all this their hymnals and stuff, and they were singing it in Yoruba, which is like a language here in Nigeria.
Hmm.
And it wasn't my thing, so I told him I wasn't going to join. So like a couple months after that, he came up with an idea to like kind of send me away, and he said something. He said that I was cursed and I wasn't supposed to be in the studio because I am cursed, and then anywhere I am, things just don't go well. I was like,
Wow.
really? And it was really, really heartbreaking for me. I remember crying and just walking on the street trying to figure out what I was going to do next because obviously I wasn't able to stay in the studio anymore. So I had to look for a solution. So I was back to being homeless. And somehow got a friend, stayed at his for the night, and then I went over to my sister's that was staying very, very far away from where I was. And at the time she was staying with her boyfriend, so it wasn't ideal for me to come and be staying with them. So I somehow got it was a Sunday, and then she was like, "Kachi, there's this church around the corner. Why not go to church?" I was like, maybe okay. So I went to the church, and I just fell in love with God. Like it happened so fast. I just fell in love with God, and I gave my life to Christ that same day, and I came back to the church, and that's how the whole thing began.
Wow. That's quite a mouthful there. I mean, that's quite a journey, and a lot of people might have given up and just thrown in the towel. But credit to you for keeping the faith and trusting and believing. Um, and that leads me into your song, "God of the Calm." Uh, yeah, so going on TikTok, scrolling around. Um, you know how it is when you're on TikTok, you're like a product of your and what you look at. So the more stuff you look at, the more stuff pops up, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm big on gospel music, and yours popped up, and I'd never heard it. First thing I did is I went to Apple Music, and I tried to download it. Didn't pop up, and it was very genius of you. I don't know if you did it intentionally, but that made me and probably other people click on your profile, follow you, and then wait to see when you were going to drop the song. So I can't remember the day it came out. I don't want to get it wrong. I know it was early October. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the song and writing it and the thought process behind it.
Yeah, so um it was a song that was I got from God in a very, very terrible phase in my life where I felt like nothing was, going right. I felt like everything was just going sour. And, I would complain every day. Like I really want God to do some things for me. Like I felt like serving God, I was entitled because I was serving God. I was entitled to a lot of things. So I was like, I am serving you, so I deserve, to have a stable mental health. I am serving you, so I deserve to not be poor, not be broke. I'm serving you, so I deserve to have a stable family. All of those things. And then, I was reading the Bible one day, and I stumbled on this verse in the Bible, Luke 22 verse 42. And while I opened, first thing that struck me was that it was Jesus that was in such a devastating situation. It was in a very, very devastating because his time was near, and you know, it was going to be taken to the cross, and it was going to be beaten, battered, and hung on the cross. And he knew all of this, definitely is God, so he came to earth and he knew all of this, but he had flesh, so he cried and he said, Father, I wish that this cup would pass over. Like I wish this would not happen. I really wish that this should not happen to me.
Right.
Like he wished that he didn't have to go through all of this. But he ended that statement by saying, "But not my will, but yours be done."
Mhm.
So, I sat down and I was like, I can trust God. Like, if Jesus could trust him at the point of death, I can trust God like that. Like I can go to God and say, I am unsure of what happens. I don't know if it will actually happen. It will actually work in my favor, but I'm trusting that it is your will. So I'm giving that to you. That was the same vibe. Like I would say vibe. That was the same vibe. The three Hebrew men that were thrown into the furnace had. They said something. They said, "We hope that this fire will not kill us, but if it does, like we are glad we died for like a really good cause. We died for our God." So that was I was like, okay, I really don't right now. It doesn't really matter whether it is going as planned, whether it's going as I will it or the way I want it to be. But I trust that if God wants this to happen, I am trusting Him through all of it, even in the most devastating situations of my life. And I come up with the song. I sat down. I was like, okay, let me make this a song because that's how it works for me. So I have like a message in my head, and I'm like, okay, let me make this a song. Let me write about this, and everything about the song is really, really personal, very, very personal. Because I've had to be homeless at some point. I've had to, even up until now, I still don't have everything figured out. It's still not working like the way I would have hoped that everything would work out. But God gets the glory, even in the craziest of situations.
Those are powerful words to live by, and I think you're a living testament, and that's why the the song resonates with so many people. And
Mm,
that leads me into the feedback. I've been on TikTok again, reading the comments, and a
mm,
lot of people have shared. I don't want to say personal stories, but I've seen a lot of comments that people have left
mm,
you about how the songs made them feel. So what's that been like
mm.
for you?
First of all, I wasn't expecting the song to get to the United States. I was just hoping that okay, so I was hoping that something would happen, and then at least my country people would like be like, okay, this guy dropped an amazing song, and like they would really pick it. But really, I posted on TikTok, I found out that the algorithm just took it somewhere else, and
Right.
then it has been amazing to see that I wasn't going through that particular phase alone
Mhm.
because there's something that God told me. He said to me, he said, everything that you have been through, that I am bringing you out of, or I am helping you go through, there are like 1,000,001 people going through the same thing. So
Right.
whatever message I give to you is for 1,000,001 other people, or maybe even more. So it was just a confirmation of the word of God to me, for me, about my ministry. So it has been amazing to hear that people have actually healed from trauma, from pain and everything. So it's just been amazing. I'm overjoyed by it.
And the best is yet to come, it seems like. And
Def-
creativity, how tough has that been? Because you, like you said, you didn't expect that song to make it into the States. You thought maybe just in Nigeria. So now you've reached a bigger audience. and with
Mm.
anything that you do comes creativity. So how hard is it for you to be so creative?
I would I would say it's I won't call it hard. I would just say that it takes a lot, but then it's not like completely, it's not overly difficult. You know, we have been given these gifts by God to be able to just listen and, express musically. I know it's hard work, but then it's not too it's not too difficult by any sense. But this is not me humble bragging. But I'm really saying it the way it is. For me, it comes. I won't say it comes easy, but then it's not as difficult as I've heard people talk about being creative, especially in the music world. But another problem I've faced with creativity is that I make the kind of songs that is not really popular with Nigeria. You know, pop is not something that we do, and I've had to, I've been talked down on my style of music. People have said, Dakachi, worship music is what works here in Nigeria. You have to talk about how you worship God, how you're praising God, glory, hallelujah, and all of that stuff. But the mandate for me is to help people heal from whatever they're going through or whatever they've been through. So I would just say that God has just given me the grace to be able to make the things I'm making right now, and it's not easy, but then by God's grace, it's not difficult.
Yeah, and I think it comes with the territory. Like you were saying, some people struggle with other things in areas that you don't, and vice versa. So
Mm,
it's always interesting to get both sides of it. But with a
yeah.
big song like that that's out, what's next for you?
Obviously, it's releasing more songs because I feel like I haven't yet like stamped like what I am about with my music yet. So I have to like drop more songs and then probably do a couple tours and like solidify my fan base, and I think we'll start from there. Definitely. I'm hoping to come to the United States soon too. So by the help of God, we would be able to make that work.
And what about advice for anybody that might want to follow a path similar to yours?
Um, Stay truthful to your message. You know, there are things that has happened to us. Whatever God has made you go through is unique to you specifically, but then there are similarities with a lot of other people. So you have to stay true to your message. Know that you have to always walk in the will of God. What it says you do is what you should do. The You are not pressured to, don't be pressured by the numbers. Like you want your song to blow up real good, and you want the world to know you like that quickly, but that is not the essence of what you're doing. The essence is that you pass the message that God has, ordained you to pass. So wake up every morning knowing that if you had two people who had listened to your song and they say, I was blessed by it, then trust me, you have done what God has sent you. So the numbers is not what what stamps success in this sense. So once you know that you have reached the people that you were supposed to reach, then trust me, you are there. So there's no pressure at all. You shouldn't be pressured by anything.
It's 100% true. Don't get caught up in the numbers because you have to stay true to
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah.
that applies to many things. And for the fans, man, where are you at on social media? Where can you be found?
Okay, I am Annuncia underscore Kachi on Instagram, same on TikTok, and then I have a Facebook page, Kachi Annuncia Music. I think basically that's where. And for anyone who wants to send me private messages, um, my email is anunciakachi@gmail.com. I'll be reading every message and I'll definitely reply the ones I'm able to.
There it is. So, Make sure you guys follow him on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to listen to the new single "God of the Calm" if you haven't heard it. It's now on Apple Music, and I'm sure it's on other platforms as well.
Yeah,
And I appreciate you coming on today and being a special guest.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Again, I mean, a shout out to you for being the furthest one, and many great things are going to happen for you, and God
Amen.
bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. And to add one more thing, I have a new
Uh
song
huh.
dropping in November. I haven't told anybody yet, so this is like the first. So raise up. There's more.
Hope to see you in the States. I know you'd mentioned that maybe getting a tour together. So best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.